they don't meet, they won't fall in love, they won't get married, and neither you nor your siblings will ever be born.
Whoa, this is heavy.
Well, so here we are. We've been playing at the Adelphi Theater for over a year, and I must say that the entire experience of bringing Back to the Future onto the musical stage has probably been the greatest creative experience of my life. And I attribute this to the fact that everybody who is working on the show, both in front, on the stage and behind the stage, they're all fans of the movie. So they bring the love that they have for the movie here to work every day. And you can feel it. Bob and I didn't have any preconceived notions about whether we would start this show on Broadway or start it in the West End. We were going around interviewing producers. Some were New York producers, some were UK producers. And we were trying to find the right fit creatively. And the right fit creatively was Colin Ingram. And it turned out, interestingly enough, that the reason that Colin was the perfect producer for this show was that he had been a Back to the Future fan when he was a kid. He saw the movie when he was 14 or 15 years old and fell in love with it. And a lot of times we would go to these meetings with New York producers. They say, well, I don't know, Back to the Future, how are you going to do the DeLorean on stage? How are you going to do the clock tower? Colin's attitude was, I don't know how we're going to do it, but somehow we'll figure it out. And the other thing that Colin said was, you guys want to do it? Great. The guys that made the movie are going to do the show. And a lot of people on Broadway would say, gee, we don't know whether you guys have the chops to do this. So Colin said everything right. And he had this can-do attitude. So we said, let's do it with Colin. Coupled with the fact that the UK was one of our most successful territories. In 2014, Secret Cinema did Secret Cinema Presents Back to the Future. I had the good fortune to come over and attend it 3 nights in a row. I had 3 of the best nights of my life being at Secret Cinema Presents Back to the Future. And I thought to myself, wow, 3,000 people are here every night, all summer long. There's our audience. There's our audience. And they're here. So we were thrilled to be able to open this show in Manchester in February 2020. And then suddenly, 5 weeks later, the government says, sorry, you blokes go home. We don't know whether the theater will ever reopen. And, oh my God, all this work we'd spent years, decades to try to bring this to the stage, and suddenly we had to shut down. Now, the good news about it was that it wasn't like our cast, they were going to get jobs working on some other show because there were no other shows. But it was kind of a dark period. But finally we got the word, yes, we're going to reopen and we're going to start previews in August 2021. And man, that was just so exciting. Winning the awards was just fantastic. Obviously, especially like WhatsOnStage Awards, because that's the public voting. The Olivier's were, of course, prestigious, a great honor, but the public, that's who we care about the most.
Great Scott! Can this thing really do 88?
Trust me.
All right, I'll take it for a test drive. The Winter Garden Theater on Broadway. I'll be back in no time.
I doubt it. I think you're going to be at the Winter Garden for a long time.
Well, of course, it's a dream of everybody to be on Broadway. And I mean, Broadway is where musical theater originated. It's the dream of everybody to be here in London because Shakespeare, right, invented theater as we know it. But musical theater, Tin Pan Alley, Broadway, that's the home, that's where it originated. So for us to be able to go there, oh my God, if the Bob Gale and Bob Zemeckis of 2022 went back in time and visited the Bob Gale and Bob Zemeckis of 1980, who were struggling to write Back to the Future, and said, hey guys, in 2023, the thing that you're trying to write is going to be a Broadway musical. We'd say, hey, you old farts, get out of here. What have you been drinking? Leave us alone. So it's just beyond anything that we can imagine. And the fact that we've got Roger Bart as Doc Brown and Hugh Coles as George McFly, inventing the roles over here, bringing them, they're going to be the anchors for our show over there. The Winter Garden Theater, legendary theater. It's actually comparable in size to the Adelphi. I think we're just going to have a blast over there. We don't anticipate any serious rewrites. There will be things that we can do for an American audience that we can't do here. For example, peanut brittle is something that all American audiences know what peanut brittle is. They don't know what it is over here. Over here, we changed it for the second year production that Biff is selling candy, not peanut brittle. We'll change that back to peanut brittle for the New York audiences. There's going to be more room in the wings at the Winter Garden Theater than there is here. So little things that we did in terms of how the DeLorean arrives to 1985 from 1955, that might come across a little bit differently in New York, simply because we have room to do it in a way that we couldn't do it here. So no, there'll be no big changes, but there'll be some little changes. And once we start rehearsing it over there, theater's a living, breathing thing. So you'll see, oh, okay, here's something we ought to put in the show, or some topical thing will happen, and we'll say, hey, let's make a joke about that. For example, we've got a COVID joke in the show now here, which we didn't have in Manchester. So that happened between Manchester and London. Was there going to be something else that happens between now and when we get the show on Broadway? Who knows? If it does happen and we can make a joke about it, damn right, we're going to make a joke about it. Interesting things. Where do we go from here? Well, of course, America's a big country. I just happened to see Glenn Ballard's show, Jagged Little Pill, in Los Angeles. I didn't get a chance to see it in New York. I saw Hamilton in Los Angeles. Didn't get a chance to see it in New York. Are we going to have a touring company in America? Yes, we want to do that. We want to have the show tour America. Are we going to have a show that'll tour Europe? Germany, I understand, is a big market for American musical theater. Yes, we're having conversations over there. What about Japan? What about Korea? What about Australia? Why not? Why not? And 10 years from now, in your local high school, maybe we'll figure that out too. So, Back to the Future, world domination. That's what we want.